Hi everyone. Hi Juhi. So I think I will just go straight into uh, the discussion that we want to have today. I'm sharing my screen where I have a deck where which will act as anchor for the discussion that I want to have that we want to have today. So this is what we would discuss today. So basically, what Julie told me is that I would have about 45 minutes of discussion of what I can talk about, and then probably if we have some time, we can take some questions, and then we can close it. So basically, that is where initially what I was talking to Julie is that do I just talk about AI in finance, but then I think because of this. Because of this time constraint, I think what we would do, we would pick up a very relevant use case, which is actually getting worked upon now in the entire industry, right? So that is conversational AI in finance workflow, and that is a new thing which everyone is trying to move towards and see what is the potential to it, right? And now, how am I relevant to this discussion? So basically, I am Indore alumni. So basically, if you um, see this photograph on mine, it is uh, it is actually taken in front of the administrative building of IIM Indore before our internship, right? So basically, we didn't really have a photo, passport size photo. So everyone of us went there. There was a photographer who took, and I have written this photo because my parents told me that this photo is probably one of the best photos that that happened to me. So basically, it is still reflects in my LinkedIn profile as well, right? So that is what has happened. But yeah, but I think what I've done after I am Indore is that I've worked with a couple of startups, two, three startups I've worked with, and I had experience in sales before my I'm in Indore sort of experience. I was a software developer. I worked there, and then after I'm in there, I worked in sales for some time, for some time in operations, and then I moved into data. So I built out an entire data stack in a company called Altisource. So at that point of time, we were starting the world was looking at big data. So had the privilege, and I was at the right place at that point of time where I got to build the entire big data stack of Altisource. Then about 7 years back, around 2018-19, I started my journey with Credit Saison India. And then also I got a little bit of luck favored me because I was one of the first employees, or you can tell me the first employee of the Credit Saison group of India entity. Now we are probably a 2000 sort of employee company, and then we have 18,000 crore of sort of AUM. So we started from scratch, and that is where I saw the entire journey scale up. Right? So I worked with data. I worked with a lot of building the ML models out in Credit Saison, where the entire industry prides itself, the fintech industry prides itself of telling that we approve loans in 5 minutes. Right? So that is the flow that I implemented in Credit Saison. Currently, we are moving into. I'm also looking at the AI stack. We are trying to build out the AI stack in Credit Saison, and I think this is where the conversational system is coming into the picture, right? This is where we are. I will start the discussion. And by the way, if any of you love photography, please connect with me. I am really happy to discuss that as well at certain point of time. Okay. Okay. So, well, let me start this. Last year also I did a sort of similar session on lending, on how do we do our digital lending. But this time it is more specific around data, right? So, there are four areas, and I will start with before I move into conversational AI, I will start with some basic definitions, right? And so that every one of us are on same page. The first thing is AI. So we call something called AI, then we call something ML, then something is called as deep learning, and then we have called um, something called as Gen AI. Right? So what are all this? So basically, if you call AI in a very layman term, we AI is a very broad horizon of machine intelligence, right? So it is like we tell means the machine tries to become intelligence, either it simulates the intelligence of a human or can try to become more intelligent than the human. By intelligence, what do we mean is human can learn, it can infer, and it can reason, right? So this is what we mean by intelligence. This from experience side, when I look at that something has happened and I understand that how it has happened, in the next instance, when something like this happens, I actually can predict that the next step will be this. Even subconsciously, I can predict that the if this has happened, the next step will be this, and the next step will be this, right? So that is what we call by learning and inferring and reasoning, right? So that is what the artificial intelligence world comprises of. Now, artificial intelligence world is then divided into multiple areas, right? So the first thing is that even before machine learning, there is something called as the statistical models. Okay. Now, what is statistical model? I believe all of you are studying market research in your IM course, right? So in the market research, if you see, you study something called a regression, correlation, something like this, right? So this is what we call a statistical model. A basic, everyone uses regression, correlation world, and probably we put a FX to by plotting data in a Excel, and we see the regression, and we say that okay, then FX equal to this value, right? So that is what we call as a regression channel. But this is very is with by doing a statistical model, by building a statistical model, you can just a human can also put a statistical model on a Excel, or it can put that statistical model into a machine and say that okay, run with it, right? So basically, that is what a very uh, deep human involvement is there in the statistical model world, right? And a statistical model is actually a very good tool, okay, because statistical models allows you to have make decisions in a controlled environment where you have high regulatory sort of world, right? For example, something like finance. Finance you can't just give to someone else and say that okay, a system which you don't understand, and you can ask that system to take decisions on your behalf without understanding the system. So that is where in finance and in other regulatory systems, statistical model becomes very important, right? Now, what has evolved around say 2010, since 2010 and 2015 sort of scenario after I graduated from IM in the IM and all, there is this concept of machine learning started uh, picking up, right? So okay, so if you look at the history of artificial intelligence, right, the history of artificial intelligence probably started around 1950s, and it started as research projects, right? And then 1980s probably something came up which tried to say that if we try to analyze data, and the machine can actually analyze data and it can give you something. So there was some software that came out at that point of time. But in 1997, there was a breakthrough in the sense that I don't know if you people will even know and how many people were born after, at that point of time in 1997. So 1997, there was IBM um, brought up a computer which is known as Deep Blue, right? So Deep Blue defeated the reigning chess champion Gary Kasparov, and I was I it was a very exciting thing that was going on, that there was a championship that was going on between Gary Kasparov and IBM Deep Blue, and all of us. So I also did some chess, so I was also very intently looking at those games. So that was the time where actually the machine started analyzing the data. What are the various steps that can happen after if someone tries to give one move? So those things happened at that point of time, right? So that came about in 2010 is where the machine started actually commercializing of a lot of this information started taking place, and that is when machine learning came into the picture. Now what is machine learning? Machine learning is that if you give a lot of data to the machine, the machine can learn on itself and it can analyze and it can run the fx function that human were running in the statistical world, right? So that is the machine learning for you. Now and machine learning does two things very important, because the way a human can function, if you tell the machine that you also function in the certain, when the machine starts functioning and learning on its own, it can do two things very well. One, it can predict what can happen, and second is it can spot outliers. These are the two things that machine learning can do. Okay, the next thing that happened after machine learning, and it was around a similar time period of 2010 2015 sort of thing, something called deep learning came up, right? So deep learning is a subset of machine learning, but deep learning is based on a concept called neural network, right? So what is a neural network? Neural network is how your nervous system or your brain works, right? So your brain has connection with various nerves, and function in one nerve um, transfers to the function of another nerve, and so on, right? So basically the data that comes from one nerve, the brain processes it, and the data flows into the different nerve. So that is your neural network, right? In deep learning, something like this has been attempted now, and it is what you can call it as a layered machine learning models, right? One machine learning, two machine learning, three machine learning sort of model taken together. But one thing about brain, if you think of it, is that the brain is not always predictable, right? Brain can act in some other way which you really didn't anticipate things to happen, right? For example, there was something in somewhere, some in subconscious mind, that the brain started uh, brain, we don't know that it is stored there, but brain took that into that decision while making the next decision, which was not predictable, right? So that is where the deep learning came into the picture as well. Okay, and then what happened is recently around 2020 we came up with something called as a generative AI. Okay, so generative AI is built on top of the deep learning framework, right? So what it means is that it can uh, it can or before generative AI, let's talk about something called as large language models, right? Or LLMs. Okay. Or how are these two connected? Generative and AI is based on something called as foundational models, and LLM is a foundational model, right? And then there is something called LIM also, which is a large image model. So what LLM did was there is a in the entire universe, there is a lot of data, and someone called uh, OpenAI actually got funding from a lot of people, and they built out a large data center and tried to understand how languages work. Right. So basically, they got so much data and so much context that they said that it came out something like that if this is what the context is, then this is going to be the next predicted sentence or paragraph or even a document, right? So that is what a foundational model did. Now, how is it different from machine learning? And machine learning is because machine learning gave you a similar structure, but it was on a limited set of data. LLM opened the entire universe, and this is where it is known as a generative AI, because it can generate lines, paragraphs, and even documents out of it. And that is where this was a wow factor with ChatGPT 4 release, right? Now, and now I think it has developed more, not exponential as GPT-4, but GPT-4, Gemini, Claude, DeepSeek, all of them are pretty good machine learning Gen AI models, right? So now, since we have set the benchmark, let's just go into deep into our topic, right? So basically, what changed with Gen AI in finance? The moment Gen AI came in, what changed actually? The creation of bots got democratized. Okay. So previously, there were specialized people who actually tried to do the machine learning models. Right. Now, what happened was the bots became very generic because these models were universally available, and probably the models knew the context across everything. There is no extraordinary context to any business anymore, right? Unless there is a very niche which someone doesn't know. But otherwise, these bots became um, available to everyone. The bots were could be made by a lot of people now. The second thing that happened is uh, conversational AI is a new frontier, and document analysis is the mainstream. Now I will get into a little bit of details of why this happened. Right? Previously, you underwriting decisions were made by machine learning models. Okay, in from the time I joined Credit Saison in 2018, there were a couple of people who started saying that we will 2 minutes loan, 5 minutes loan. We went into the market saying that we are doing 5 minutes loans, right? So basically, we generated machine learning models because we knew the context, we knew the data, and we said that we will build our models because this is the data that we have, and it was done. But what happens the moment you go and talk to someone outside? The context is not there, right? So basically, every individual might come in with a different mindset, right? And because this data didn't have the context, they really didn't know how to converse with this person, right? So now, even if we say that I want to put a model upfront, a bot upfront to chat with someone in the outer world, it couldn't have been possible because this model didn't have the context. Now, what LLM did, they made the context available, right? And that is where conversational AI, the interaction with the customers became very mainstream. People are attempting to make it mainstream. A lot of this is still in pilot, right? But it is being seen as a major possibility now. Okay. The second thing that is happening is there is a technology called OCR technology, optical technology, which actually reads the documents and actually figures out what the letters in that document is. What LLM has done is it takes the document, it reads the OCR takes the data, LLM reads the data, and it says that okay, this is the context and this is the meaning of this data. And so that is the document analysis is also becoming mainstream. These are the two frontiers that changed with AI in finance, right? Okay. Now there are two parts to it, right? With this, we are talking about now who actually converses with the customer, right? So basically, we call a setup which is known as call center, right? A call center has a lot of functions to it. For example, there is a customer support function, there is a sales function, there is a collection function, and what they do is they pick up the phone and say and either receive a question from the customer or tells the customer something, right? So these are basically what we call as agents. Now, what has happened is we are calling from human agents, we are trying to tell that there is something called AI agents. So that is the second thing that has happened. Now, what is the AI agent? Now, there are two terms came up. One is the AI agent and the other is the agentic AI. Okay. Now, what is the AI agent? AI agent is it is basically a single uh, entity and or basically think of it like a LLM. Okay, agent is a LLM, and we tell the LLM that, or think of it something like this, right? That we tell the agent that can you please tell me what is the best route to Pithampur? Okay, the AI agent will look at the data and figure out and say that okay, look at a lot of data and then it will contextualize and say that okay, I think this is the best route to Pithampur and this is the task that has been given to the agent and it completes the task, right? Now, then what you will have to do is you will have to take another agent and say that okay, agent Mr. Agent B, can you just book me this bus to Pithampur, right? So that is the second action. Okay, so AI agents, when it came up, it could complete one task. But what has happened after that is lot of these um, separate companies came up and they said that I will make agentic AI. Agentic AI means agent one, agent two, agent three, agent four, all working in tandem to achieve a goal. Basically, it is no longer a task. You will have to tell the AI guy that, okay, do one thing, please book me the best route to Pithampur. So first agent will go and figure out what is the best route. It will tell the second agent will go and book this bus for you, and the third agent will come back and tell you that okay, this bus has been booked, this is your ticket, please go and pack your bags, right? So that is the what we mean by a agentic goal. Agentic AI takes the route of achieving a goal. Okay, these are the two concepts that we should also know. Okay, uh, now let's just take a step back, right? So basically, uh, this was already happening in risk assessment, and this was has been happening for some time. These are the four use cases that happens in risk assessment. Okay, one is a credit scoring enhancement. So like something like analyze the data, income statement, bureau, etc., and then you build out a model. So a machine learning model does it. AI is not still not there, and it may not be there because it is not needed yet. ML has solved this use case, right? The second is ML also does a sort of loan default prediction. For example, it will look at data 1, data 2, data 3, data 4, and it knows where to look the data for, and it has also solved this use case. The third case is it might also look at certain third-party sources and say that, okay, this is the market risk analysis, this is the macro level market risk that might happen. And fourth is that it might also say that there is a real-time risk monitoring on the existing portfolio. So in both in lending and non-lending cases, the ML models have solved this, right? And that is where we are saying is this is the area where Gen AI is now entering, which intelligent people always wanted to do through ML models, but were not able to, right? So Gen AI has now provided a tool for customer interaction, a ready-made tool for customer interaction. Why? Because like the way I've already said, right, that your ML models didn't have the necessary data set to build the context. Gen AI has already done that, and given that, now it is a matter of putting those into the workflows, right? So that is what is the new area or frontiers that is actually where the finance organizations are looking to deploy AI. This is what I know as per my understanding. Okay, I've been looking at this industry for about say, looking at this area for about say 1.5 year now, and this is what I have come to that these are probably the four things, definite four things that where financial organizations are looking to deploy the Gen AI model. The first is make it like a revenue driver, lead qualification, cross-sell, upsell, personalization. That is, put that into the sales call center. Right? The first thing that they want to do. The second thing is again on the call center part, customer experience call center. Conversational AIs can handle customer queries, and to the extent up to which it can handle depends on the willingness of the organization to put this into action. The third thing is on collection system. Again, collection conversations, the willingness to which it can be put into action again depends on the organization. But I think all the three, they have sufficient use cases and systems in place to put a lot of those into action. And the fourth one is a document processing. Document processing is like when we come to the document processing, I have a slide on document processing. When we come to that, I will talk about it more. But think of it that how can we use the document data in our financial in our financial processes, right? So basically, previously a lot of those things had to be done manually. So how does the system read the documents and take those actions automatically, right? So that is how the document processing works. Okay. And probably the base of it is what we call as a chatbot. So basically, this is a um, base conversational AI, and then you can put emails on top of that chatbot technology. You can put a voice on top of the chatbot technology, and it will work in the same way as and well through different channels, right? So this is how we look at Gen AI applications when it comes to banking and finance. Okay. Okay. So before we move, I will just want to talk about one thing. So basically, what we call as the voice and non-voice agents, right? So again, I'm just still setting up a context a little bit. So conversational AI can be divided into two parts. One is a non-voice and second is a voice. Okay. Now, what is non-voice? Non-voice is the communication that occurs through typed message, chat message, and written input. These are written messages, not voice, not calls. Right. The second thing is it can work both in real time. For example, if someone chats over a WhatsApp or a company website, then it can be a real time, or it can also be non-real time. For example, something like an email, right? An email is a deferred response. It can be a deferred response. So these are the two ways a non-voice can work. Examples are chat bot over websites. It can be messaging apps like WhatsApp, and it can be emails. Right? The but the advantages are unlike on a written communication, it is a private. There is a clarity in what is being asked and what is being responded. And then it is a scalable solution because since it can be a deferred response, you need not invest in infrastructure uh, upfront as volume increases, right? You can have a defined TAT, say something like, I tell the customer that I will respond to you in 30 minutes, right? And so, irrespective of, say, thousands and lakhs of emails coming within those 30 minutes, the system did not scale it up like that to meet those volumes, right? So, basically, it can be a deferred response. So, that is where we call it a scalable solution as well. And but what happens in a non-voice scenario is a human might still have those understanding because of his experience outside the conversation over email. He might look at an email and say that no, this customer is probably sarcastic, right? A AI agent may not be able to understand, and more so in a non-voice scenario, right? It might take everything literally. So this is what we call as potential misrepresentation of what might happen, and also it is a little bit non-personal because when you don't hear the person's voice, you don't really understand what the person is saying, right? So it is a mail communication that exchange, and sometimes something even escalatory might not get caught in that interaction. Okay. Similarly, in voice, what happens is it is more on calls. Someone calls, it is based on the technology of speech to text and then converting it to a text to speech. Uh, Communication is real time. Emphasis is on the tone and sentiment. Before LLMs, there were bots, there were IVRs, but it was more like press one, press two, press three. I will probably try to play you a voice message now and show you how it looks like at this point of time. Okay. But this is how the emphasis has moved on to tone and sentiment. Examples are interactive voice assistants, Google, Siri, Amazon Alexa. They have actually done a great job at this moment. Advantages are probably nature. It comes across as natural, understanding the emotion, understanding faster. Um, as per some of the analysis that I did, I found that um, about 50% of the conversation that happens over phone in a call center are emotional conversations, right? Are probably scared conversations where the call center agent has to assure the customer that nothing has gone wrong, right? And 50% of it is factual. For example, someone says that, okay, what is my EMI date? The agent will give the EMI date, right? But if someone says that I have kept my money in the bank, why didn't you cut? Now you will give put charges on me. I won't accept that. I will go to police against you. So that is the emotional part where the call center agent will say, no, no, sir, you just hold on, nothing will happen. It will get debited. You will get, I will pull that money through a Nash instrument that we have. Nothing will happen to your email. You don't need to do anything of this sort, right? So that is the emotional part, which probably is still not, the voice agents are still not there, but it will come at certain point of time, right? And probably the disadvantages are, yeah, that is what I'm saying is the complex development, right? That part about emotional handling and factual handling, that part is a little bit of the complex development. Okay. We'll move on to the next one, and I think we'll directly jump into the use cases that I want to discuss today. Okay, and I will just show you one thing just before this. Ananya. Yeah, Juhi, are you able to hear this voice?
Barely, like it should be a little
Confirm
loud.
करने और आपका अनुभव समझने के
Yeah,
लिए
we can
क्या
hear.
अभी बात करना ठीक रहेगा? Can you speak, please? Assistant. आज की कॉल. Yeah. Yeah. So what I will do is I will just play this sound again. Okay. You tell me what is this actually. Okay. मैं अनन्या स्कूल असिस्टेंट आज की कॉल लोन डिटेल्स कंफर्म करने और आपका अनुभव समझने के लिए है. क्या अभी बात करना ठीक रहेगा? Can you speak, please speak in English? Sure, I'll continue in English. We've recently disbursed your business loan for rupees 1,50,000, tenure 24 months, monthly EMI rupees 7,450. Your EMI falls on the 5th of every month, with the next EMI due on 5th October 2025. We sent your welcome kit to amit.sharma at example.com. Are these details accurate? Could you please repeat that once again? Of course. Here are your loan details once again. We've recently disbursed your business loan for rupees 1,50,000 with a tenure of 24 months. Your monthly EMI is rupees 7,450. The EMI is due on the 5th of every month, and your next EMI will be on 5th October 2025. Your welcome kit has been sent to amit.sharma at example.com. Are these details accurate? Yeah, they are accurate. Thank you for confirming. On a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is excellent, how would you describe your experience with... Why are you asking this? I appreciate your question. I'm asking for your rating so we can better understand your experience and make improvements based on your feedback. Could you please share how you would rate your experience with on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is excellent? I would rate it around 7. Thanks. We aim for a 10. What small change would have made this attempt for you today? The process was a little slow. I think you can work there. I'm noting that the process felt a little slow for you, and it's helpful feedback. Would you like to add anything else before we finish? Yeah, I would like to know how I can reach out to you. I'm a virtual assistant, and the feedback on this call will be looked into by our team for improvements. That said, if you need urgent assistance, please call +1 800-123-9000, or you can message +98-2087-8737 on WhatsApp. Is there anything else about your experience you'd like to share today? No, I think that's it. Thank you for your time today, Amit Sharma. Your feedback is noted and helps us improve. Okay, so what do you think happened here? So I believe that you people realize, right, that this is not a person who spoke, right? This lady called Ananya is actually a virtual assistant, right? So basically that is what actually changed in this landscape now. Okay. Now, even if you people would have spoken to like this a year ago, you would actually definitely make out that uh, uh, this uh, when a robot talks to you versus when a human talks to you, right? Here you actually could get an emotional connect with this lady, right? You really didn't understand if she hadn't told at the end that I'm a virtual assistant, right? You wouldn't even understand that this is what has happened, right? But then there is another thing, right? That how did she make this how did this happen so easily? Okay. So this is one use case, a easy use case, which is probably what we call as the welcome calling when a loan gets disbursed and all. So a welcome call is made. So and it is a very standard SOP, right? Uh, so basically, um, Now, if you take routine SOPs, okay, then at scale, you can deploy virtual assistants pretty easily. Okay, because and you saw what this guy was even asking, right? And this was a test call, but this guy was trying to deviate her and try to put this AI off, right? Saying that why are you asking? Why should I tell you, right? What is your other address? Okay, and sometimes he might also get abusive, right? But this guy actually had context of the large language model plus the SOP, and this is where it came out, right? So that is where the customer support is one area which is actually everyone is trying to get these AI models into the customer support because they see a lot of potential of things getting handled, at least routine things getting handled through these voices, this conversational process, right? It is not only voice, by the way. Even on non-voice, if means a voice is a little bit difficult, a non-voice is an easier use case, right? Think of it. For example, an email, meaning of an email is understandable to a lot of people. Okay, so basically, if someone language model is built on top of text message, so basically they can understand this. So that is where we what we are saying is that why do we think that customer support with is going to change with AI? One is that the SOPs are pretty well defined. The past data is yeah. So this is the past data uh, is also there, which indicates this categories, subcategories that are available, and we also know where is the biggest bang for buck, right? So that is what also happens there. And the third is that say it didn't get into such a present discussion like this guy just kept their phone that okay fine sort of thing, and he started escalating, he started abusing, then there is because we're talking about a agentic AI flow, right? What a agentic AI would do is they would just when it got abusive, the first agent would realize that it got abusive, it would tell the second AI, the AI agent that just get a human in the loop, so the call would drop to a actual agent, right? A human agent. So that is also a possibility with the agentic AI flow. So this is what had happened. Now, basically, we would change this into say a 24/7 sort of chatbot assistant available. We would also automate a lot of these repetitive tasks. Uh, in this scenario, probably co-pilots would also come for human agents, right? The after this, probably what a voice LLM can also do is analyze calls. Probably, say in a call center, there is a lack of calls that would come in, and then to understand if that call went well, call didn't go well, was the agent courteous, was the agent not courteous, all these things are only sample, and people doesn't really know what's happening in a lot of those cases. So at scale, we can deploy AI and analyze those calls as well. And then even if we increase it, it would increase the personalization of the credit offers, right? So basically, these are the 4 5 things can be deployed using this voice, using this conversational AI, both voice and non-voice. And then probably the thing that happens is we just don't deploy it, right? Because it is a fancy thing. We try to achieve goals, is what we are saying, right? We target goals. So probably we say that okay, there is a X% improvement in first time resolution. There is a Y% improvement in average handling time. There is a CSAT improvement of say Z% target we should be taking to achieve this, right? Yeah, but just before this, before I move to the other use cases, there is one part I want to talk about here, right? So, this is a concept of pilot to scale. Okay, so we don't really deploy uh, because a model is available to us. It becomes the responsibility of our organization to test it out very thoroughly before deploying it. Previously, the setup was very controlled, right? There is a data science group who owns the data, right? Who would test the model out and out and train the model, and then there is a testing of the model that happens, and then there is a small scale deployment, and then the deployment is tested out, and then the iteration means made on this, and then it is done up full rollout. But in with a generative AI coming in, a lot of these are available out of the box now, right? So basically now that is where the thing about making sure it goes through the entire process again should be should be a organizational responsibility. Now that is where and since this is happening for the first time, right? This year has been the year of pilots. A lot of pilots has been run. You would see, if you look around, you would see probably everyone trying to set up a AI company, right? So what do they actually do? They just don't set up a AI company and say that, okay, I have the data or I have the product ready, right? So they also start running pilots. So they get in touch with a finance company and say that, can you allow me to run a pilot? Or the finance company probably has a data science team within themselves and say that, okay, let me set up a pilot and run within a smaller group and see the result, right? So that is how it happens. Now that is what. Is a pilot how it transfer. So how it starts with a very small low risk area, a small sort of a success metrics are defined, saying that, okay, if I achieve this by deploying this, then this is how it will happen. Um, Either a technology partner is selected from outside or inside. There is a data collection that happens, and the AI models are trained over this data, and then there's a small scale deployment that happens. So this year, this has been the primary goal of a lot of these finance companies. The next is what we call as the MVP. That if we say that, okay, small scale deployment is successful, then we try to deploy it um, into a slightly bigger area, and then there is a full scale integration and deployment, right? So that is how it happens. Probably the one that you heard, the voice that you heard, these are sort of pilot. You can think about something like they are saying, right, the tech at example.com. So you understand this is a test pilot that is getting run, right? So after that, if this becomes a little bit of successful, it actually it will get into the MVP phase, and then it will be a full scale integration. This is the first use case. The second, this is how it will be deployed. The second use case is using the conversational AI into for collections. Now, a similar setup like a call center, but in collections, it is a outbound call rather than an inbound call. Right? Now, why is this important in collections? Is because collections works on a very fast frequency. Fast frequency in the sense that, say something defaults, right? If they are able to catch hold of the customer on the initial days, there is a higher likely of collecting that amount rather than later in the cycle. Okay. So, but since someone calling in the sitting in the call center will start making calls physically, at scale, this becomes difficult because someone knows that if we send a collection agent to the gate of the person who has defaulted, I will get it today instead of waiting for the next 2 days where the call will be made out by an agent. This is where the volume aspect comes into the picture, that how can we deploy AI systems to handle volume and scale. This is the first reason why we see that collections is probably the area of disruption through conversational AI. Then in collection also, there are very well-defined SOPs. Right? For example, what would a collection call center do? They would pick up the call and say that, sir, you have defaulted. Your due date was yesterday. Did you forget it? Can you just make this payment? Then this person might say that, yeah, I'm making this payment, and you will make this payment, right? Uh, so the SOP is pretty easy, but SOPs in many cases may not be followed as well. So because and keeping a tab on that is also a little bit difficult. Okay, and the third thing is, again, we said, right, the agentic AI might be able to just put only special cases to a human agent instead of a human agent having to look at all of them. This is where the AI agent will be able to use volume. They can call the customer at the most convenient time as per the history or as per the customer's wish. And then there is another aspect to it, right? The During the conversation, there is a intent recognition aspect. Okay, for example, when the uh, call happens, if the customer says that I'm going to make the payment tomorrow, and previous a couple of sentences here and there, intent can be recognized ki what the customer is doing. Now, based on that intent, the further action can be taken. Right? For example, the agentic AI will talk to the customer. They will put a put a action again saying that remind the customer tomorrow again. So the next action will be probably sending a SMS by the agentic AI as well, right? So there is the intent recognition and disposition analysis aspect. And again, then we can also put a human in the loop here. And then we also go ahead and look at what are the goals that we can achieve, right? For example, something like X% improvement in default collection. We can look at improvement in disposition monitoring, and then probably if we deploy a AI agent, what is the ROI that I'm getting on top of it, right? So that these are probably the three things. There is the third use case, which is again a call center use case, which is a revenue improvement with AI. And this is also on the sales side. Now, the main issue on the sales side is that probably if means I believe a lot of you might also get these calls, right? That sir, can you take this loan, or madam, can you take this loan? We have a loan offer for you, right? But uh, the conversion rate is very less, and a lot of people are actually put into this process of trying to reach out to the customer and trying to convert those leads, right? So that is where uh, the AI agent comes into the picture, where it can actually do a lead qualification upfront. But sales area is a lot complex area. Is a very complex area still. Okay. For example, a sale doesn't really happen just like that. It might have a greater deal of nuances. So what the industry is still looking at is only the lead qualification part. That does this person say that, pick up the call and say that I'm interested. The moment he says I'm interested, this person will be put into a human agent phase. Otherwise, the human agent has to make those calls and then listen to the customer and say, no, I don't, and then keep. Instead, the human agent would only pick that call if this customer is interested. So that is what we look at this aspect also, that what is the improvement that we can have on the lead qualification and agent productivity, agent in the sense that human agent productivity, right? And is there a CSAT aspect also to it? Okay. So these are probably the three use cases that we have primarily on conversational AI. And the last part is on the document processing. Now, think of it like this, right? That say you a person from a government office goes to your door house and tells you that, madam, can you fill up this paper form? Okay. You fill up this paper form and give it back to this person who has come to your door. Otherwise, what would have happened is, without digitization, this person would take this paper form, put it into his file, go to his office, right? But now, in the case of digitization, okay, you fill up this paper form, and this person actually takes this paper form and tries to type it in his mobile or tab that he got, right? So instead of solving his problem, in the name of digitization, we have actually increased his problem. If you think of it, right? That he has to look at this, otherwise he would have just taken and gone to the office. He has to look at this, type in the data, and then say that now it is fine. He is wasting not only your time, not only his time but your time as well, because you have to stand there and clarify those doubts. So now it is taking double the time. Okay, this is where the the place of OCR and document processing is coming into the picture. The moment you fill up a paper form and give it to this person, the person scans it on his app. The OCR reads the data, LLMs understands the data and fills it up in the places in the form that it wants to, right? In the digitized form that it wants to. This is one part. The second part is even in the downstream. When it comes to the back office, the back office has to verify this document. Now, the language model plus the OCR engine actually does this part. You put this data through this system. The system OCR will again read the data, LLM validates the data and say yes or no. It can also say that, okay, I didn't get this data. It can also say that I didn't get this document. And also, what happens even further downstream, right? For example, someone gets into a default and the document is not there. So there is no case filing itself. So all those things has to happen simultaneously. So document processing, though not directly a conversational AI, it's also changing the way it is also changing the way the back office is working now, or even the sales guy upfront is working. Okay. Okay. And probably we'll just touch on a couple of things. It seems a lot very promising, but there are certain challenges. Because you are getting into a lot of automation, there are data privacy concerns. We don't know what is happening to the data. There is second is the ethical use of AI, right? Means AI, because now the human intelligence was handling this. We are trusting AI so much that we don't really know whether the AI is fair. I don't know what the context has been fed into the AI. So those things has to be taken care. AI, for all its good intentions, hallucinates a lot, and people who know how to drive the AI bad can drive it bad. Okay, you can just prompt the AI saying that no, no, your information is incorrect, and the AI will take your prompt and try to think that you are a very good person, whereas your intention might not be good, right? So that is a hallucination, and there might be a bias again in these models that are inbuilt. And the fourth is that there are regulatory challenges. So uh, regulatory regulations might still sit there while the technology is here, but at certain point regulators might come in and say that no, we didn't actually authorize this, right? So that has also been taken care before we move ahead. And how do we actually do this? This is the concept which you call as the guardrails. Right? So basically, in voice AI, there are guardrails. So what are guardrails? Guardrails are a set of policies, controls, and technical measures which has to be done so that the voice AI doesn't operate out of context or out of sync. They have to operate safely. So there are three areas that it works on. One is the content and safety. Under content and safety, we can put rule-based filters under in the voice AI. We can say that uh, avoid abuse and hate speech means someone abuses the AI, the AI should not abuse back, right? So those things it should do. The third is the topic blocking. The AI should, if we don't want the AI to react to sensitive or dangerous topics, we should tell the AI that you don't respond to sensitive and dangerous topics. And this is what I mean by by a sensitive and dangerous topic. We will have to tell the AI. Okay. The second is behavioral uh, aspect of the AI. Now, basically, there is a brand tone that has to go out. That is what we call the persona. We should persona of the AI. We should tell that okay, this is your tone. The second is we should tell the AI that this is the context. We should put that context and say that you cannot take context beyond this. And if someone else tries to prompt a AI and inject a prompt, the AI should resist that prompt further, not to take that prompt from a user. And again, there is a privacy and data concern, whereas it is like a PII detection. it should adhere to the privacy policies and it should adhere to the data sovereignty. So within this actually area, we talk about how the guardrails actually work. So there might be different. If someone wants to build the guardrails, they will have to look at this nine aspect of the AI. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I think I am almost in the last slide. So basically, the summarization slide. So what is the future outlook? The future outlook is a lot of pilot programs are running. It is now in the domain of how to productionize it. We see the call center operations getting impacted because uh, till now we were only automating underwriting and risk models using MLs. Because of so much context involved, the CX call center, the sales call center, and the collection call center is going to get impacted. Second is back office operations are going to be streamlined through language models. There might be personalized financial advisories coming while interacting with the customer. It is, and the context is so much context is available that personalized financial advisory might come upfront from the AI itself. There is a faster decision making that will happen, and we have seen a lot change in the last 2 or 3 years since GPT-4 came up. It will go further. Probably in the next 2 years, we are looking a period of high growth and innovation in this space. Right? Yeah. So that is what we. The only thing that I as an industry, I as a practitioner of the industry see is what I haven't seen is human to go away and replaced by AI. I think there will be a more adaptive and human centric approach to it. Right? AI is going to make job easier and make help everyone take better decisions. This is what I think. Right? So yeah, so that is the end of my what I had of my deck. Now up to you people if you people want to have any observations or want to ask any questions. Yeah, thank you. Julie, up to you.
Yes, so the floor is open for questions. Um, if anyone has any, please feel free to ask. Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so we often hear that AI in finance is like moving from pilots to production. So in your view, what differentiates organizations that successfully scale AI and those which stay stuck in experimentation?
Yeah, so I think even recently, Jui, there was a report that came out from and probably a concerning report that came out from um, MIT. So they said that uh, that only 5% of pilots are successful, right? But actually, if someone looks at the report in detail, the headline is pretty off. But it is not exactly that there is a problem with the technology. Okay. It is not exactly the case. There are other aspects to it. Right? For example, probably leadership and team. Leadership has to say that okay, this is okay. There has to be a leadership buy-in. There has to be a team buy-in. Probably that is one reason. The other reason is um, there has to be a problem and value fit, right? For example, we can't be doing vanity projects and expecting organizations to go and deploy full scale. So even at the start, when the pilots are started, even at that point of time, there is a value that has to be attached to those pilots. That what if the pilot is successful? Means I think that is basic 101 of MBA, right? We do that. What is the problem that we are solving, and what is the value that we are trying to derive from it? The third is probably we look at um, non-standard. We are trying to automate non-standard processes. Okay, and we say that AI is a be all and end all, and we take a AI context and try to automate something where it will start falling the moment the workflow becomes ambiguous. Okay, for example, in the sales pipeline, if we at certain till certain point the workflow is standard, but then the salesperson will go and change his processes or to sell something, right? Take waivers, do something which a AI can't do. So even in those aspects, we should not expect the salesperson, the AI to work further. And probably there is one thing that um, one thing is that a lot of the AI work that is getting done are undocumented. For example, an employee might work use AI to ease his work, but that is under the radar, right? So that really doesn't give the value that it can happen. So and I think these are the three, four reasons that even came out in that sheet, that probably even if we a lot of people are about 70 or 80% people, CEOs or leadership actually said that we are trying out AI, but a very few people have said that we have actually deployed something, right? But what I see is that after the initial year, right, the first year where this has happened, people will actually understand where to recalibrate. So that is where I say that this year has been the year of pilots. A lot of companies came up. A lot of people tried to do in across the industry, across not only finance industry but across industries, right? But but few people deployed full scale in production. Probably in finance industry, what I know is that probably Bajaj did a great job till now, a job to some extent till now. Compare their volumes. Okay, the volumes is like huge. From that aspect, they have done a very small aspect till now, but still they have done something, is what I am aware. Okay, but I think these are the three, four things that anyway will start changing in the next year, is how I feel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Aryav.
I have a question that if you were to imagine a, let's say, AI first financial institution of 2030, what would be its defining characteristics be? And I ask this question in light of the recent Geo BlackRock asset management company launch, which is being marketed as powered by AI.
Okay.
Yeah, is this change will be better for the entire finance industry or not?
Um, no, so Aryav, again, right? So basically, uh, uh, I look at a lot of these as jargons, right? So we don't know how to how I would define. I mean, how I would react, or how would my CRO react if I tell him that, sir, you please do one thing, let your machine learning models go away, and I will deploy a LLM there, right? So he will just blacklist that LLM from the organization the moment I tell him that, right? So that is what I'm saying, that we don't really know that a lot of these things are still jargons. Okay, there are certain areas where even if a machine capability is there, right, it still would remain under the jurisdiction of uh, risk and regulatory governance. Okay, for example, underwriting a customer, going after a customer who is defaulting, looking at portfolios very closely. Okay, so these are anyway, even not only a lending company, say even a mutual fund company, right? Their asset portfolio, they wouldn't just give it up to a model, right? So they would personally, all of them look at each model every day. Okay, so each results, each portfolio every day, right? So that is where what I think is will change is the part that's and one thing is that, Arya, what I think is some of these aspects has been automated to some extent. For example, a machine learning model also already has automated a lot of those narrating pieces. Okay, but what has not been done till now is the conversational piece, where which LLMs are trying to do. Now, is it going to be AI first? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, because still uh, we haven't seen anyone in the industry deploy uh, a conversational bot out and out a conversational bot and becoming successful. Okay. I think you know this story about Klarna. I'm not sure if you are following. So Klarna is OG of fintechs. Okay, so they are a US based company. Okay. So even we probably in India it started around 2017-18 time period, the fintech revolution. In US it started about 4 5 years before. Okay. And Klarna was a pioneer. They tried to do this. They tried to remove all the customer support executives and brought uh, AI into the mix. Now they realize that now their developers have to go and take those calls. Okay. So they are actually trying to bring those executives back again. Okay. Because the models are not really at that point which can diminish the entire human aspect. That might happen in some time, but still we are just moving into the pilot to production phase and not still not there is what my assumption is at this moment.
Okay,
Okay.
so if there are no more questions, I'd like to close the talk. So on behalf of the Alumni Committee, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Debarshi Roy for taking the time to join us today and share his invaluable insights. Your perspective on deploying AI solutions in financial industry have highlighted how technology, when combined with vision and execution, can reshape customer experiences and drive large-scale transformation. The real-world lessons you shared, from scaling lending journeys to building impactful digital products, have truly enriched our understanding of how innovation can define the future of financial services. I would also like to thank Professor Manish Hopli, Chair of Alumni Affairs, for his continued guidance and support. A special thanks to the Alumni Office, whose efforts behind the scenes make this talk possible. And of course, a big thanks to our wonderful audience for your active participation and engagement. We look forward to welcoming you again to our next session of Wisdom Pragya, the Alumni Talk Series. Thank you once again and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you.